welcome back to my channel. So I thought today I do something a little bit different. So yeah, sadly no unboxing videos today, but I really wanted to try my hand at this theory thing because I've been obsessed with the new On music video that dropped today. I'm sure everyone is at this point, and I know everyone has been coming with these theories, and well, after watching it for like the 1000th time, I came up with my own theory and I just wanted to share with you guys. So before I get into this though, I really want to make sure you guys understand that for me to go into this theory, I had to break the video up, you know, like the video up into pieces to be able to tell you the story. So how I'm gonna tell this theory is by telling you the story, how I interpret it, and yeah, so I don't know, let's just get into it. So there's this scene I just want to touch on, so before we go any further, to catch you up where I'm at right now, where we're gonna start our story. So there's the scene right after Jungkook, you know, found the conch shell and blew into it, and you kind of get this flash, like, you know, that dance break that we all go crazy for. Well, there's that dance break where it's like a splash of like them in a like Mad Max kind of like feel, you know, like getting ready to go into battle type of thing. Well, I'm gonna start there because I want to say that that is their past. How the story started off is like BTS basically in their past, they've, you know, lived in this society where like they are very united, you know what I mean? Like they have their armies, you know, to help them fight and go against the injustice, and just that's like the gist of it, like their own little society, right? But something goes wrong, like you can tell, but something goes wrong, and let's just look at the clips really quick to tell you why this is my theory. First, like, as you can see, the clouds, by the way, I'm not using actual video clips because I don't know how like copyright is gonna work, so I'm just literally using screenshots. But if you go back to the video and you watch and you see the clouds, the way the clouds move, and then you see the volcano eruption, I don't know, it felt like a sense of going back in a time, or like, I don't know, like the whole color, like the whole atmosphere and the color is much darker, and I feel like it represents like a different timeline, you know what I mean? And so that's why I chose to interpret it as going back to the past. Anyways, as you can see, BTS in the past, they have all their people rallying up behind them, like they're ready to go to war, like they're ready to go to battle, you know, like to fight whatever it is they're trying to fight. Maybe they're for their dreams, maybe for a better future, but something goes wrong, and you can see explosion happens, and I'm guessing this is why their world kind of collapsed. Okay, now my theory is that after this world collapsed, BTS kind of were scattered, or they had to leave this land because this land was no longer in like inhabitable, like they're not able to live there any longer. But the problem is, like, they're not faring any better off outside of this utopia that they had lived in, right? And I just want to point out that I think, like, with this whole, my thing with like their utopia land or wherever they were living at that time, I want to say that it represents their dream, their hope, like that's what that land represents, and something happened that made them run away. So just putting it out there. Anyways, moving on, I actually want to go to the part where at the very beginning when you see Jungkook running away from something. And again, this supports my theory of them running away from their original home, their land, their dream, right? Because as you see Jungkook running away and he turns back, and you can see really quickly where he is running away from, or where he escaped from. And it's actually the same wall structure that they all end up gathering at the end to enter. You know, so like the whole time you're watching and you don't notice, I feel like you're probably thinking maybe they're going into like this new land, but no, they're not going into a new land. They're returning home. They're returning to their dream and facing it head on. So again, like you can see the two wall, like the wall structure that Jungkook is running away from, and the one where like they all, like where Tae and the little girl eventually ends up at, is the same place Jungkook ran away from. Now, why did he run away from it? And why is it that he's the last one to escape from it? Because all the other BTS members like seem like they've been left that place, you know, and they've already ventured out trying to find their own like sort of hope or life or something to live off of. So why is it now that Jungkook is just able to escape, and why is his hand bounded? I'll get into that like a little bit towards the end, okay? But now let's just move on to the members, because I think that's also very important, you know, to this whole story, obviously. So we're gonna go into Jin, and first off the bat, like we see Jin standing what looks like a battleground, right? And there's all these people that we can assume that are probably like, you know, not alive. And Jin is kind of just wandering around. There's actually another person behind him wandering around. So like I guess they're trying to look for any sign of life left, I feel like. And instead Jin finds a dove shot down. Now a dove represents a lot of things in a lot of cultures and religion, but in Christianity, you know, the dove represents the Holy Spirit, but it also represents hope, peace, new beginnings, things like that. So for him to find the dove and take it back, like we see him take it back to wherever it is that he's staying at, and he puts it in a cage, which is kind of interesting to me, because you would think hope should be free, but he's putting it in a cage, you know, like locking it up. So does this mean that he is still holding on to, like, you know, that maybe there's something there? But obviously the dove is dead. Of course, that is until, like, if you watch their video, like, the dove comes back alive once Jungkook actually runs further away from that place. And it triggers something. And you know that it does, because, you know, the dove obviously coming back alive is a really big deal, but you can see it on Jin's face that he knows something has started or something is going to happen now. Let's move on to Namjoon now. Namjoon is pretty, like, obvious. He's basically representing Noah, like Noah's Ark, you know, saving life, or I guess whatever life he could find, like the animals that he did find or whatever. There's a clip, I didn't take a screenshot of it, and now I'm too lazy to go back to edit it, but there's a screenshot. If you look in the video, there's one where Namjoon has like his hand claps together as if he's praying. And I want to say, like, again, like with the whole, like, I think they're all being hopeful, even though it seems hopeless, but they're all hoping that some change is going to happen, you know, because I think they're starting to realize that living outside of their old world or living outside of their dream, they're starting to lose everything. Like, things are not working, things are not staying alive, and it's just, you know, at this point they're just looking for a way back, but they don't know how. Anyways, and then we're gonna move on to Tae. And of course, Tae, I guess for him, like, he found a little girl and he's helping her survive. That's what I got from it. And I just want to say, the girl being blindfolded, I know there's plenty of jokes about, like, Bird Box, but I really do think the girl represents innocence and representing, like, hiding the innocence from the truth, you know, from the truth of the world, from the bitter truth that what the world really holds. And I think that's what Tae is protecting the girl from. But we can also see that Tae is, like, infected with something. And I also think it's because they've been away from their home for too long. Like, they've ran away from it for whatever reason. Yeah. So that's Tae's story, at least what I got from it. And then we also see Jimin. And Jimin is also with another child. And this child, like, to me, looks very hopeless. And, like, for Jimin to stand, like, behind all these drums, I feel like it's him who's rallying the people, because when you think of drums, you think of, you know, marching, you think of unity. So I think it's Jimin who is finding whoever he can to rally up. So towards the end, when you see all those people coming up behind BTS, I want to say that those are the people that Jimin were able to find and rally up together. Now, going on to Yoongi, I want to say that Yoongi is the one member who basically stayed with their surviving people from their old world. Like when whatever happened that caused everyone to leave, I think he was the one who gathered whoever he could, and now they're in hiding, and I think they're like almost in prayer. Like before in the old scenes, like I mentioned, it looked like they were about to go to battle, right? But here it looks like they're going to prayer. But I feel like it's the same people because of the red banners. It goes back to like the red in the other scene, you know what I mean? Like originally when they were like about to go to battle or whatever. So that's why I feel like it's the same people, and these are the people that Yoongi are able to protect, meanwhile, while waiting for some kind of sign, for them to go back home. And I think they're in prayer because I know that they know, I think that they know that they need to, find a way back. Yeah. And for J-Hope, I know this might upset a lot of people, but my theory for J-Hope is that he is the one member that did not make it. I want to say that he only came towards the end as a spirit, and why I think that is because he's the only member who didn't really get a scene by himself. And I know you're saying no, but he did. Well, the thing is, I want to say that J-Hope only appeared in Jungkook's dream, because as you notice, when Jungkook was running into the forest, he got really exhausted at a point and he passes out. And before he passes out, it alludes that he's dreaming, that he's seeing something different. That's why, like, for some reason, if you notice, one minute he was in the forest, passed out, and the next he was on this grass field with all these dying trees. And I want to say it's in his dream that he sees J-Hope, and J-Hope is the person that reminds him why he needs to escape, and why he needs to carry on, and why he needs to keep living, because even in J-Hope's lyrics during this part, he says, my pain became, my flesh and blood, but I'm gonna keep going, so that's my theory for J-Hope. And then now moving forward, where we go back and we see Tae and the little girl, and they eventually make their way back to the wall, okay? And right at that moment when they reach back to the wall is when Jungkook finally wakes up from his dream, okay? And now I want to say that J-Hope literally represents hope. So when he woke up and he has like this recharge of motivation, of the drive to carry on, that is when you see the wall starts to open again. And it was during this moment that Tae also decides to take the blindfold off of that girl, meaning no longer hiding her, or no longer protecting her from the reality of things. He knew that it is time for her to face, this world, what is left of it. Because remember, they ran away from it because it was no longer livable, or something happened that made them realize that they can't stay there anymore. It could be their fear or whatever it is, but yeah. But now he's like, it's time. So we see him and her, hold hands, bravely just looking back at their home, in anticipation, basically waiting to see, if they should go in. And then right when the wall opened, I think it also signaled for everyone else to come forward, that it is time to come home. That's why we see all the members gather up again, and then we see the rally of people come up behind them. And then we see Jin release the dove that had came back to life. Now, again, I want to go back to the dove, because the dove represents a lot of things, but going back to the Noah arc, the dove had a really big role in Noah's arc. So in Genesis, after Noah lands on this mountain, I forgot what it's called, but on this mountain, okay, because at this point the water was receding just a bit, and Noah wanted to see if there was life yet out in the vast place, if the water had receded enough for him to be able to safely venture off of the ark to find food or land or whatever. So he sends out a dove, but he sends it out 3 times. The first time he sends it, it comes back with nothing, so he knew it wasn't time. The second time he sends it out, it came back with an olive branch. So he knew that there are signs of life. And then the third time he sends it out, it never came back, signaling that it was safe to venture out again and that there's a new beginning. And after that, obviously, he left the ark. So same thing, Jin, releasing this dove, I feel like is releasing hope back into their old home to see if it's still livable, if it's time for them to go back now. But we can also see that they're still pretty unsure because the dove hasn't returned yet, but they're still very unsure about it. That is, of course, until Jungkook, realizes within himself that he needed to let his own fear go. I think the binding that you see on his wrists, the thorns, I think that represents his own confinement, his own fears, his own doubts. And it was until he washed it away, because again, going back to Christianity, washing in water or whatever is like a baptism of sorts where you cleanse yourself of sin. So I feel like this is where symbolizing him cleansing himself from all these doubts and these fears. And when he was able to do that, he's able to pull out obviously the conch shell, where he then blows into. Now, the conch shell represents a lot of things. Number one, it represents, calling your troops to battle. It also represents power and also represents sovereignty. So I think once Jungkook blew into the conch shell again, which if you go back to the beginning of this video and you see my screenshot, there's an actual screenshot of them, in all their fake love, occult hoodie thing, and Jungkook was holding the conch shell. And I think that was the time when they called for battle, but this is him calling for power, a new kind of power. And once he blew into the conch shell, life came back to their old home. You see trees sprouting, you see life coming back. And then Jungkook appears out of nowhere. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the screenshot to make sure I'm going in order here. And you see Jungkook appear out of nowhere, or I guess he found his way back to them. And that was when Namjoon, held up his fist, signaling it's their time, to go home. It's their time to move forward. And so everyone does go back into beyond, go back inside of their wall, or going back into their homeland or their dreams, whatever symbolism you want to take that as. And even as they're climbing up Pride Rock, I'm gonna call it Pride Rock, you can, if you look really closely, you'll notice there are 7 doves, exactly 7 doves. So, obviously 7 doves represent 7 members of BTS. Doves represent hope, new beginning, peace, love. So now they are home again, and they're facing their dreams head on, and they found peace with it. And I think that's what it means. And then of course we get a shot of Jungkook looking extremely happy and at peace now. And even towards the end, you see the sign "No More Dream" fading, only leaving you with the word dream. So, dream on, what I mean? Keep going. So that's the gist of my theories, or the story I feel like they were trying to tell with this video. I really, really liked it. There's so many amazing shots, and God, it was so beautiful, and I can't stop watching it. And I don't think I can stop watching it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my theory and my storytelling, of at least what I've got from it. If you guys like it, please leave a comment. Please tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree, disagree, or if you want to add anything to my theory. Let me know. And remember to keep streaming, keep watching the videos. We have goals to meet for BTS. So, anyways, bye.